Hey guys, my name is Evan and welcome to Economics 101, your number one source for everything economics. Have you ever wondered or noticed that companies keep moving factories, governments keep announcing new tariffs, and prices on certain products seem more unpredictable than ever? Today, we're going to dive into how trade agreements and tariffs are reshaping global businesses, changing supply chains, influencing inflation, and creating both winners and losers across the world economy. In this video, we're going to cover three specific topics: why tariffs have returned as a major economic tool, how new trade agreements are creating new business opportunities, and what all of this means for consumers, investors, and markets. Before we jump into the video, I do have a quick favor that really helps grow the channel. If you enjoy clear, easy to understand breakdowns of economics, please hit like and subscribe. It helps more people find the channel. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. To start off with, why is global trade changing? So for decades, globalization followed a simple formula. Companies built products wherever costs were the lowest, and the results, lower prices, greater efficiency, and increasingly interconnected economies. But in recent years, governments have become more concerned about relying too heavily on foreign suppliers for critical products. The pandemic exposed supply chain vulnerabilities, geopolitical tensions increased, and governments began asking a new question: should efficiency always come before economic security? Many consumers are now prioritizing resilience alongside efficiency. Businesses are adapting to a new world where global geopolitical risk matters almost as much as product costs. And that's changing pretty much everything. So now we're going to talk about the return of tariffs. Tariffs were once considered a fading policy tool. Not anymore, though. A tariff is essentially a tax placed on imported goods. Government used tariffs to protect domestic industries, encourage local production, or gain leverage in trade negotiations. For domestic manufacturers, tariffs can reduce foreign competition. For consumers, tariffs can sometimes lead to higher prices. And for businesses that rely on imported materials, costs may rise. Think of it like adding friction to global trade. Governments hope that friction encourages local investment, but it can also increase costs throughout the supply chains. That's why economists often debate whether tariffs ultimately strengthen or weaken economic growth. The answer usually depends on the timing, but the timing, industry, and broader economic conditions. All right. So while tariffs grab headlines, many people focus on tariffs when they see it in the news and things like that. So while tariffs grab headlines, trade agreements are quietly reshaping business opportunities. Modern trade agreements increasingly focus on critical minerals, technology corporations, cooperation, semiconductor production, digital commerce. Instead of one massive global trading system, we're seeing more regional trade networks emerge. This trend is often called friendshoring. Rather than producing goods in the cheapest location available, companies increasingly choose countries with stable political and economic relationships. As a result, nations can provide manufacturing capacity, skilled labor, and political stability, are attracting significant investments. And that leads us to one of the biggest business trends of 2026. So, for years, many corporations concentrated production in a small number of countries. Today, many are diversifying. Instead of relying on one manufacturing hub, businesses are building multiple supply chains across several regions. Why is this? Because disruptions have become expensive. A factory shutdown, trade restrictions, or geopolitical conflict can now affect production worldwide. Companies have learned that resilience has value. Even if operating costs are slightly higher, reducing risk may be worth it. The shift is creating enormous opportunities, and countries attracting new manufacturing investment could see more jobs, infrastructure development, higher business investments. Moving production is expensive. Building new facilities takes time. Training workers requires new investment. The transitions won't just happen overnight. It takes long periods of time for countries to adapt and restructure things. Yet the direction for most countries is clear. Global supply chains are becoming more diversified than they were just 10 years ago. Quick pause, guys. I want more. If you want more breakdowns like this covering economics, markets, inflation, make sure you subscribe. It helps the channel out tremendously and ensures you don't miss future videos. Now, let's talk about the impact that affects all of us. Whenever trade partners change, prices can change too. Tariffs can increase costs on imported products. Supply chain restructuring can require new investment. Businesses often pass some or most of these costs on to consumers. That doesn't mean every product becomes more expensive. In fact, increasing competition among new manufacturing hubs could eventually lower costs in some industries. But during periods of transition, inflation pressures can emerge. This creates an interesting challenge for central banks like the Federal Reserve. The Fed's job is to maintain price stability and support employment. If trade related costs push prices higher, policymakers must decide whether inflation is temporary or more persistent. So markets are watching closely because interest rates expectations often influence stock prices as well as other aspects of the market. Investors should pay attention because it affects shipping activity, inflation data, commodity prices. The companies that successfully adapt to changing trade dynamics may gain a significant competitive advantage in the future. That's why trade policy is no longer just a political issue. It's becoming a major business investment story. So to wrap everything up in this video, the bigger picture and what we learned is basically global trade is entering a new phase. Tariffs are returning as policy tools. Trade agreements are becoming more strategic. Companies are redesigning supply chains, and consumers, investors, and markets will all feel the effects. The biggest questions moving forward is Will these changes create more resilient? Will these changes create a more resilient global economy, or will they make products more expensive and growth more difficult? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think tariffs help domestic industries, or do they ultimately hurt consumers? Drop your answer in the comments below. If you found the video valuable, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's interested in these topics. This is Economics 101, your number one source for everything econ. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.